Greetings. My name is Yitzchak Etshalom, and I'm delighted to again join my colleagues in sharing insights from the Haggadah in anticipation of the most momentous evening of the year, Leil HaSeder. Tonight, I'd like to share something which is not about a specific line in the Haggadah, but about part of the entire process of the evening. And for lack of a better term, we will refer to it as Who Knows Five. Then I'd like to point out that there are 5 stages or 5 steps in the Seder that take us from the reality of where and when we are living at the time of our Seder to the ideal re-experiencing that is the goal of the entire evening. Notice that in the beginning of Magid, we make a historical statement which is factually true, is part of our tradition, and takes zero imagination. And that is halach ma'anya diachalu avahatana be'ara de Mitzrayim. We take a piece of matzah and we say, this is the bread that our ancestors ate in Egypt, meaning we're referring to something that happened to them, not us, there, not here, and back then, not now. Historic information. But almost immediately, we make a statement that pushes us a little bit closer to appreciating our own personal involvement in the redemption. And that is when we start to tell the story, we say, Avadim hayinu leFaro. We don't say our ancestors were slaves. We say we were slaves to Pharaoh. And then we add to that and expand on it by making a statement which is very complex, but can be broken down and explained as follows. Ve'ilu lo hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu et avotenu mimitzrayim, had HaKadosh Baruch Hu not taken our ancestors out, harei anu uvnei vanenu mishuvadim haynu l'Pharaoh Mitzrayim, we and our children and our grandchildren would still be enslaved to Paro, which means we're taking a second statement. The first statement is, it happened to them there then. Second thing is, what happened to them there then and the subsequent redemption impacts on us here now. Who we are today is very much a product of who they were. And where we are today is very much a result of what happened to them, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did for them. But it still remains in the past, it still remains a piece of factual information with the reality that the past impacts on the present. And that's something that we can all understand, is that every event that took place in history, even those events which make us sad and events which are tragedies, impacted on the present to the point where we look at our world today and it is what it is as a result of everything that happened. When we move one step closer is also near the beginning of Magid. There's a point at which we put down the matzah, we cover the matzah, we pick up a cup of wine, and we sing praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's got a particular point that carries this theme to the next step. And this is step number 3. And that is V'hi sha'amda la'avotenu v'lanu, meaning the story that we are going to tell this evening is not a story that happened once in history. It's a story that repeats in history. It's a story that we have seen happen even in our own generations. It wasn't just Paro who wanted to destroy us. In every generation, they stand over us to destroy us. And something that poignantly, Pesach of 2024, we feel very much to our bones. HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzilenu miyadam, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu saves us. Which means not only did the past happen, not only did the past impact on the present, but the past recurs in the present. And then from that point on, we tell the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim. And if we are sensitive, we tell the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim with an eye towards the entire Jewish historic epic and pointing out how different components of Yetziat Mitzrayim showed up in the Roman era, in the Byzantine era, in the Islamic era, in the Crusader era, in the era of the Inquisition, all the way up until our day. And when we finish telling the story, we then shift from storytelling to song, with that paragraph that begins with the momentous word lefichach. Therefore, we are obligated to praise Hashem. And by this time, we have internalized the story, so we recognize theoretically our own place in the story, even back then. And notice the wording. Lefichach anu chayavim lahodot lahalal l'shabech l'faer lahader romen lagadel lanatzeach. We have to praise and extol and thank, etc. L'mi she'asa la'avotenu v'lanu et kol nisim ha'elu. Notice the order. To the one, Hashem, who did for our ancestors and for us all of these miracles, which means now we are including ourselves as the direct beneficiaries of the miracles of Yetziat Mitzrayim, but recognizing that center stage in that dramatic story are our ancestors, and we are in the wings. We are in the background, behind the curtains, as the much later beneficiaries of those miracles. That is when we introduce the Hallel. We then sing 2 chapters of Hallel. And when we finish the Hallel, we say a bracha. This is the end of Magid. And notice how the bracha starts. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher ga'alanu v'ga'alat avotenu miMitzrayim. An important note, both of these phrases are found in the Mishnah, Psachim. Lefichach and this bracha. Asher ga'alanu v'ga'alat avotenu. We thank Hashem who redeemed us and our ancestors. And notice that we've shifted. Whereas in Lefichach, our ancestors were center stage because they were really there, and we're also beneficiaries. Somehow here, in one short moment of 2 short chapters of Hallel, a total of 17 psukim, we now have shifted to we were redeemed, our ancestors were also redeemed. How does that happen? So the reality is that storytelling, reading the history, reading the narrative is powerful, it's dramatic, but it can only take you so far. Information is what information is. When we need to go further than the data, when we need to go to the heart, that's when we cover the matzah, where we cease telling the story, we pick up the wine and we start to sing. And when we sing, we can go to places that stories can't take us. When we sing, we can close our eyes and imagine ourselves in Mitzrayim, walking out of Mitzrayim. We can imagine ourselves with Rabbi Akiva at his Seder in Bnei Brak, and we can imagine ourselves with Rabban Gamliel Hazaken at his Seder in the in Yerushalayim, eating the Korban Pesach with the Matzah and Maror. We are able to imagine all of that, and that's the magic and the power of song. So over the course of the evening, we've taken 5 steps. We've gone from factual information about what happened to our ancestors in the past, to them, there, then, to the impact of that story on us, to the fact that this story repeats in our history, to after telling the whole story, understanding that we are there, to the point after singing where we are center stage as the stars, as the focal point of the redemption from Mitzrayim. And that, of course, is the magic of this tremendous evening that in Yirtzeh Hashem we will celebrate together with all of the Chatufim and all of the Chayalim being freed and being home safe, and with safe and secure borders in Eretz Yisrael. And we all know Biyachad Nenatzeach.